let's jump into it. Quite a few decent updates this week. So first off, appreciate everyone for stopping by. Um, we added in for Citrus, we added in the activity feed for mobile, as that should be helpful for a lot of people. I've been poking through, just kind of watching that. I think there's a lot of good information for anyone that's interested in lending or borrowing, just to kind of see short-term trends based off the activity that's in there. Also, I'll give like a real quick shout out to for the loans set to expire soon. You can check that for individual collections, but you can also um, filter based off of any collection. You can just remove what automatically gets filtered there. That should help people if they are interested in trying to potentially get like a reborrow, in a short term, of being able to kind of strategically place your liquidity. So I think those are pretty cool features that should help folks that get into the lending space. Um, I should put my chat up here that way in case. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's Citrus. Not a whole lot really has changed with that. I know I'll talk about in like the I think it's on the next page of the page after like our Citrus partnership. So we'll kind of touch a little bit more on that. I think that's a pretty awesome thing for us to be working on. Second point in here, we decided we chatted back and forth. I mean, the one nice thing with the way we run our project is like we run it very lean. So, most of the revenue that we've been generating, have able to kind of keep it in on the sidelines, essentially for a runway for us. When the market changes, when things happen with tools, if things become less popular, and then we have to kind of figure out like what's the meta for us to kind of get into. But it doesn't make sense for us to just sit on Liquid Soul on the side. We are longer term bullish on price action of Sol, so we have a good bit of it in our treasury. We decided to put more of that to work. So we've staked an additional 20K Sol um, each with Jito and Marinade. So I'm sorry, we've brought them up total to 20K each. So 20K in Jito, 20K in Marinade. Um, just to touch on them, they are really kind of different products. So Marinade, if anybody is familiar with staking Sol, Marinade is basically a liquid staking protocol, but they do it decentralized over I think 400 plus validators. They have a strategy plan too for how they allocate the funds into those validators. A couple of things to keep in mind with it for anyone that does stake is sometimes if you stake into a validator that becomes inactive or if performance is poor compared to what is required of the network, um, there's a chance where there's no yield from that validator for the money that you put in there from a Sol standpoint. So there are chances where you might not get a return on staked Sol into a single validator. The same is true if their performance degrades to a point where you might get less Sol for their performance. So staking it into a protocol like Marinade instead helps kind of hedge that volatility, or that risk, I should really say, that risk of getting some yield from your Sol. And the program itself, it's managed by a multi-sig, like it's very secure. It's not something where one day they decide to just rug MSOL, like the money's all gone. You'd still be able to get back at least what you'd put into the protocol, and at the same time, like it's growing based off of the returns they're getting from the staked Sol that they put into the ecosystem. So you can keep track of all those metrics as well. They have it all posted. You can track it on chain. It's pretty legit for anyone that's interested in earning yield on Sol you just have sitting around and you don't want to use like Citrus as an example. Marinade is solid from a liquid staking standpoint. Um, Let me just jump in here real quick. I think somebody might have been unmuted. No, maybe not. The other side is Jito. Jito, for anyone that doesn't know, they're different. It's not necessarily just staking liquid Sol into validators. They actually do like hold on. It might be someone in portals that I need feedback on. But they kind of are more of like MEV for like arbitrage opportunities that they kind of set up their yield from. So it's two completely different products. So that's just one thing to kind of keep in mind. There are other alternative ways of staking and earning yields or putting your soul into work, I'll say, for earning yields. But we like Jito and Marinade just from the way they're, very hands off and earn, decent yields compared to just letting soul sit around. So we've got 40K soul total that we've staked in them. And it also does help the ecosystem as a whole, which is pretty sweet. We have our FoxySwap UI we updated to add some info on common scams. We've just been seeing too many, if I'm honest. It originally had started off with like PNFTs, and I think Klanos were actually probably the most heavily scammed, where people, had kind of realized, oh, well, if I'm able to just replicate this NFT with the like video that it's kind of set up as, that people would probably believe that it's real after I send it first to them, and then they send me a real NFT back. Um, you know, Always make sure to verify that it's from a legit collection. But yeah, so we've just had been having too many scams go around. But yeah, when someone if by chance someone is like, oh, let me just kindly send you, an NFT first, there's a very high percentage chance it's a scam unless you really know that person. Even if you really know that person, go on Magic Eden, make sure it's from the verified collection. Make sure you can list it, for sale as a legit NFT from that collection. Double check the update authority on them compared to others in the NFT collection. You can go through SoulScan and verify, the Magic Eden link within SoulScan on that specific NFT that it goes to the, Claynosaurs or whatever collection. There's multiple ways of making sure that that's a legit NFT. And if the person's trying to put like time pressure on you of like, I just sent you, my real Clayno, like you said you're gonna send whatever NFT or soul or whatnot, and they're trying to time pressure you, like odds are it's a scam. Like they're just doing that in hopes that you believe whatever they say, and then they just, take off with your NFT. So we decided to add that into Foxy Swap just to kind of bring more awareness to it. We've also posted, I should say Brink, posted a decent little piece in our scams channel at the bottom. I pinned it. Be safe. If you're ever in a situation and you don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it. If you need help or questions, a lot of foxes are very familiar with common scam tactics. So just ask the community or us if we're around. More than happy to make sure people don't get scammed. I had someone where they're very familiar with scams from the SMB community. Um, and they were trying to get scammed. Someone actually in that one, just to kind of give a little more color, they were trying to do like 7 NFTs in a transaction, six trades for one. And since you can only do 6 NFTs in a transaction on Foxy Swap, they had to do like 2 swaps or something. And what I actually suggested to the guys, I said, if you're gonna do a trade like that, I said just offer them, a lower amount of soul for 2 or 3 NFTs, right? And then they can include that soul back in a swap for whatever the other thing is. So say you want to do, I don't know, 6 foxes and soul for an SMB. I don't know why you do that right now. But you could do 3 foxes for say 100 soul, and then that person can put the 100 soul and 3 more foxes up for, the SMB, and then that way you do the same thing. It's just a way of you circumventing the fact that you can only do 6 NFTs in a single swap, and that's purely a Solana restriction. But there are fancy ways to get around it, and of course, the other person wouldn't go for that because they were trying to scam them. But I thought that that was a pretty like fun solution for people, if in the future you're ever kind of put in that situation. The same can be said really for any kind of swap you're trying to do. I know there's been like that recent one where HGE and Soul Big Brain was saying he wanted to trade like 66 monkeys or whatever for like or degen apes, yeah, like 100 and something degen apes for like 66 SMBs. Um, Obviously, you can't do that in a single transaction, but you could do, 3 for 1 or 2 for 1 or whatever like the ratios are, and just do multiple transactions unless you're legitimately trying to escrow like a crazy amount for one time, which doesn't make any sense. So, just certain things to think about for common scams and how to avoid them. Always good security practices. We we added, and I put an extra picture down here, and we'll talk more about it for the NFT NYC stuff. But we added foamy merch tokens to our chests. We've put more information about it in previous announcements, but the foamy merch minis that they have are pretty awesome. I know Brink has gotten three, I believe. They are, I think, like 6-inch figures. They are foam. They're done in like multiple layers. The token here doesn't do it much justice. Even my image on the left-hand side really doesn't do it much justice. For those of you coming to NFT NYC, the, the big one here is coming with me, so it will be at our party. If it will be coming with us, we'll make it work for people that want to take pictures and fun stuff like that. It's a pretty awesome thing to see in person. Um, but the minis, they're little 6-inch figures. He does like a layered foam approach. It has a nice base on it. I think he makes them in a way too, where if you wanted to like attach them to a wall, I think you can. I think that might be an upcharge if you're interested in going the magnet route. Or even if you probably wanted to get a more expensive one, I'm sure, if you wanted to pay the additional fee, we'll spot up to the mini price. And I believe he includes shipping and all that fun stuff in it. So it's a pretty awesome token, a different kind of physical item we can offer. Add foamies to our vendors of physical goods to give out, and I think people will love it. I'm gonna have you'll see in like more videos and things that I do at home. Like I'll have this. This is a life-size foamy. It's legitimately like 4 foot tall. Um, it might even be a little bit taller than that, but it's pretty friggin' cool. So that'll be in my background. And I also got a Famous Fox logo for NFT NYC. I got little like paddle things with my face on it, Dev's face on it, and then a couple of Portals characters because Portals is also co-hosting with us. And then I got our sponsors. I got table pieces for sponsors and all that kind of fun stuff. So um, yeah, these things are pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to more people getting them when they come out. I think they're pretty rare to get from chests, but I'm really excited to see what people order when they get their foamies. So wanted to give a shout out to foamies and foamies too for what it's worth. Um, he's done a lot for NFT NYC, so I'm kind of counting him as like a pseudo sponsor for what he's created. But yeah, you'll see like little stickers and stuff like that, like all over probably the pictures that we have. I'm gonna include like his details as well and like some of the um, other like promo materials and stuff while we're at the party itself. But if you guys are interested in kind of learning more about it, I think it's just Foamy. What's his website? I probably should have checked it out before this, but I think it's foamy.io. Yeah, Foamy, FOAMI.io. If you're kind of curious to check out some more about them. And then the last item on here is merch. So we had a lot of merch items that were sold out, primarily from the t-shirts. I think it's I think it was almost all like not all the sizes and stuff, but I think everything that was sold out was from the t-shirt side. So we've restocked a lot of items, especially the green scum shirts. I know a lot of those were sold out. We didn't add a bunch of capacity to them, just because I think what we might do is transition to like another run of different kind of merch versus just keeping like that as being steady. I've gotten a lot of interest in the shirts that I made for NFT NYC. I got a very limited batch of those, so I don't. My plan is to give them out to holders only, and I still think I'm going to end up missing some people with that. But yeah, so as it stands, we added some more capacity for those items. If you're interested in purchasing, would definitely recommend jumping in there if you have tokens you want to purchase them with. definitely go in, see the sizes that we currently have, and go nuts with it. But yeah, we don't have immediate plans for new merch, but I think it would make sense for us to add in something fresh that people might be interested in purchasing and wearing. I think our Fox Around and Find Out shirts are going to be pretty popular at NFT NYC. I think that's it for quality of life updates. I don't know if I guys any specific questions on that, but I'll still run through the rest here, and then you can pause and take questions. So we did host earlier last week, hosted the second March Raffler raffle as well as the first Citrus raffle. Total of about 600 soul worth of prizes. I think more based off of price appreciation on them. Um, but did the drawings. People were asking for the winners. So what I did was I took for the Raffler raffle. Everyone in there has their Twitters linked. So I did their Twitter handle and what prize they won. For Citrus, not everyone has their Twitters linked. So I just did wallet address and prizes. So um, hopefully you've noticed if you won. But if you hadn't and you were curious, jump into event notifications. You might have to scroll up a little bit. It shouldn't be that hard to find because it was after we did the the monthly raffle. So you should be able to just scroll up versus kind of going through everything that that was having fun with at our weekly VC last week. But these were our prizes. Congratulations to the winners. Um, Changes for this for the Raffler raffles going forward, based off of feedback that we've gotten from a lot of different people. It's going to be based off of buyer volume only, so sellers won't be eligible for entry into the bi-monthly Raffler raffles. But for buyers, it really doesn't matter if it's like one ticket or three tickets per person, so we'll probably just make it one ticket per 100 soul worth of volume. It makes my life easier. We can actually use our draw lots program versus using just Excel to grab that information. But um, but yeah, just wanted to let folks know that are participating in raffles that it is a buyers will be the ones that are eligible for the prizes. Prize pools should still be similar based off of volume um, that we get in. So not sure what that looks like for the first one. We'll have a better look at that probably tomorrow, just before NFT NYC. I'll have a better idea of what we're gonna start stocking up for prizes for that. Um, but for Citrus, yeah, I think for Citrus, we're gonna have some pretty awesome prizes for that. I'll talk a little bit more about the partnership side for Citrus and how that impacts the rewards essentially that we're giving out to folks that are using those platforms as well. So we've started partnering up with other projects in the ecosystem. So we started off with these five shown here: OK Bears, Klanos, Smiths, Degen Ape Academy, and Elixir. But we keep adding projects to that. Essentially, what those partnerships look like for folks that are interested is that we are asking folks to like basically tweet out about the partnership on a more official capacity, post in Discords just around what like the partnership actually is and means, what Citrus is, and just resources around like what's helpful. We have YouTube videos and such for anyone that's interested in getting into the NFT lending game. But we are also at least what I can see being the most reasonable way for us to approach it into the future. For the first three, OK Bears, Claynosaurs, and BSLs, um, anyone that lends or borrows from those three collections uh, will be eligible for winning one of those NFTs. So we're putting up an OK Bear for the OK Bears, a Clayna for the Claynosaurs, and a BSL for the BSL. I'm sorry, a Smith for the Smiths. So if you lend or borrow any of those three collections, for Claynosaurs, it is Claynosaurs specifically. I don't know if I've asked Dev to figure out if we want to do it for Claymakers and Clay. I'm fine with it if we want to add a couple more fun prizes in there. But that's just on top of what we're planning on doing with regard to like rewards for Citrus. So purely from a partnership standpoint, if you lend on those three collections, you'll be eligible to win one of those NFTs. For Degen Ape and Elixir, we're planning on doing that next month. Um, that's just based off of timing. We're already almost halfway into the month. It just makes sense for us to kind of extend that out some, and also just keep an eye on what our fees are that we're bringing in versus what we're kind of giving out. So it just makes sense from that perspective. But um, for these partnerships too, what's important is that we are giving a portion of the fees that we bring in back to those collections, just for this added exposure and a way to kind of help, if you want to consider it like an additional revenue stream for those projects. But it's I think more important now than ever of having kind of these solid relationships within the space. And it's not like a thing to break our bank. It's just a way for us to kind of work together more, um, in a builder's capacity, if you will, for what we've already created. So I'm looking forward to it. I know everybody that we've talked to about it so far has been super, super on board, with the exception of one project in particular. Um, and looking forward to kind of growing this. I do think that there's a lot of space for these kinds of partnerships in this NFT fi space. I see that being, more of a future offering for anything NFT fi. Even if it's not something we create, I think there's a lot of benefits for others, if they create something and want to get other collections and communities involved into it. I think there's just a huge benefit for a lot of people there. So I'm looking forward to this personally. And the last point here that I forgot to mention was that we've also taken 100 of our regular chests and added that to the monthly citrus raffle. So, in general, if you lend or borrow on citrus, you could possibly win free chests. So, just another small benefit, but 100 chests compared to the number of borrowers and lenders that we have, I think is a pretty solid way to kind of give a little bit back to folks that are active on there. And you can win more than one, I should say. It's not if you're a volume borrower or lender, it's not that you just become eligible to win one chest. So you have a chance at winning more than one chest. Next up is missions. Second to last slide in here. With missions launched yesterday, I should have added the raid on here as well. I don't know why. Probably because I'm rushing. But yeah, the raid filled quick, extra quick. Stash raid. Um, I think the Friends and Foes DAO. I think it's Pugs that puts it together. Pugs, I think you're in here. Are you not in here? Yeah, you're in here. No, Pugs isn't in here. I think Pugs puts together like this little, I don't know, call it a speedometer or something like that, where it shows like what's the probability of you being able to get like your friends and foes in, or like how difficult it will be to get that NFT in based off of the number of other NFTs that are also eligible for that mission or raid. And this one was like a decently high. I think his scale goes from like 0 to 4, 0 to 5, and this was like a 3.2. So it was pretty high and it filled very quick. So you know, shout out to those that were able to get in. Sorry that it's not large enough to fit everybody in. We've been ideating on other fun mechanics to kind of build in for raids that I think would be quite interesting. And missions for what it's worth, of just trying to make things a bit more fun and different. But if anything, it just goes to show us how hardcore you guys are for wanting to get into raids. And I don't blame you, because there was somebody over the week, if I'm not mistaken, that like swept raid chests up to, or weekend swept raid chests up to, I think, 4 soul, which is absolutely insane. So keep on keeping on, degenerates. But yeah, very, very quick raid that filled up. As for missions, Solos are Spectacles level 44 plus and Pineapple Shirt level 46 plus. Our duos are Mutated Eyes level 48 plus and Alien Den, and Safari level 46 plus and Safari Den. Then trios are two Pirates and Pirate Den, Pirates level 44 plus. And then the last trio is three Tank Tops,
It's too many tank tops.
level 48 plus. It's too many Tank Tops if you don't have three.
Yes.
But I was able to lend a Tank Top Fox out for 2,400 Foxy, so
Yeah.
I will take it. And yeah, last thing, last but last but not least, the thing that's been very fun slash interesting is NFT NYC this week. So shout out to everyone that's going. Um, there is like, I don't know if you want to call it like a preliminary space that we'll be jumping on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. EST. It should be pretty fun. Kind of talking a little bit more about like the events and things that are going on. And also what I should say is if anybody's interested, there's a Telegram group chat that's up to I think 350, 360 people, mostly from Seoul, that are just, you know, posting events and what everyone's getting into, which is pretty awesome. Um, we're hosting an event, so shout out to co-sponsors of Portals, um, co-hosts and Portals, and then we have sponsors from Hello Moon and Clockwork, just to kind of help with the costs of the event. Um, but yeah, it should be super super fun. It's a 2 hour event. I don't think it's going to be enough time for the number of people that are there, unfortunately, but I still think it's going to be pretty awesome. Um, the 13th, Thursday the 13th, is just going to be such a busy day. It's like almost everything is going on that day. We were fortunate enough to pick a pretty ideal time slot for our event, so I'm looking forward to it. Um, but yeah, aside from us, OK Bears is just before us. Magic Eden Yacht Party is during, starts at 4 o'clock, and then runs, I think, until 6 or 8, something like that. You got Pengu Love is running an event that I know I'm going to try to pop over to after ours. You have Klanos later on that night. Um, I think those are like the main ones that I'm planning on going to during the 13th. There's stuff going on tomorrow. There's stuff going on Wednesday. And then on Friday, there's a few events that are going on throughout the day, but we're sponsoring this NFT NYC Solana Sunset Mixer. It is at I believe it's at the Solana office, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty solid party. If you're interested in getting into it, I think we still have a decent amount of spots I can give out. So you apply for it and then just DM me your email address and I can approve it. Um, Once we hit our capacity for it, like there isn't much I can do there. So I just want to throw that out to people. But it should be a pretty good time. If you are coming, by all means, DM me, make sure we get in touch one way or another. I have a lot of people that I'm meeting, a lot of different like side things that I'm planning on going to, outside of just these events. And the Friday one too, I won't be able to make that Sunset Mixer, so I have to come home a little bit earlier than that, unfortunately. So if you do plan on going there and you want to meet up, please let me know beforehand because I won't be at that on Friday. But I'll be there until give or take about 3 o'clock or so on Friday. So if anybody's interested in meeting up or chatting or anything like that, just let me know. More than happy to do so. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have. So I'll kind of open it up to questions. I'm sure you guys have plenty of them. Um, I should have started off looking at chat. Gib for me. Yeah. Bar's doing the hard work. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, MJ. But yeah, if you ask questions in other chat channels too, just make sure to ping me. That way I know to jump in and check it out. And I should check portals too to see if there's any questions in there. Fox around and find out. Yeah, our shirts are gonna be dope. Our shirts are dope. I will say that our shirts are dope. It was perfectly timed for Soul Big Brain to post out, fuck around and find out with his Catalina whale, um, And I then responded back with the shirts. So I know he's interested in getting one. So I need a shirt. You definitely need this shirt for sure. Wind pants. You know what's ironic about that, Scooby, is I actually early on with merch, like I was thinking to myself, like, what would I actually wear? And like a solid like sweat short or like sweat joggers would be ideal. So I have been thinking about pants for a long time, but nobody really does pants, and I don't know. It's not like a normal like merch thing. I don't know, it's strange. Maybe it'll make it more popular. Pajamas. I know Brinkle approved pajamas.
Jammy jams.
Jam Jams. Sponsored by Jam Jam DAO. Alright, let's see. Would be nice to have auxiliary missions for the same trait as the raid is. Consolation prize. Um, that's an interesting thought. I mean, we always have, of course, the fame only missions, but yeah, we know we try to structure missions in general, having the six flow with three requiring dens, kind of like on purpose, especially because raids are every other week. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. My hope is to kind of eventually structure missions a little bit different to include more, even if it's like for lesser rewards or something along those lines. But I think other enhancements that we're planning on doing missions kind of nullify the need to do something like that. But I see your point for having the ability of getting something ready for a mission and then not being able, or for a raid and not being able to do it, depending on the traits that it has, of just only being able to then put it into a fame only mission. So I kind of get that. Yeah, that's a fair point from Blue Green that a raid rework is being considered, especially because as we get more common in raid traits, there's going to be more people that are eligible to go on them. Let's see, I have somebody off mute. Is there a voice question? Maybe not. All right, YJ server muting you. Let's see. It's a good question for months. Any comments on Monkey DAO SMB? Anything there that changes and forces views on Solana NFT ecosystem? Um, let's see. What can or do I want to comment on SMB's Monkey DAO? What I would say at its core with Monkey DAO in general, I think was the Genesis concept of it. I love. I'm all about like sub DAOs existing. Um, I think the way in which Monkey DAO was formed might not have been the most ideal because at the end of the day, a sub DAO, if it's not like respected by the creators, or like if the creators don't care about it, then a sub DAO doesn't necessarily mean that much. Um, and like to bring like a case in point with it is actually like the Nouns DAO for Utes. I'm intimately familiar with some of the creators of that, and from day one, like used SMB as almost like a study for them to be like, this is the problem that you'll run into of being a sub DAO that's not necessarily supported by the original collection is like if you then decide to go and do these things, I mean, Monkey DAO has done a great job, right? For the networking side, for the community that they have built, for the structure they put in place, the visibility they've gotten. Their leadership is fantastic. The people that are on the executive board, like everyone is a delight to work with, if I'm honest. Like I've never had any interactions with MonkeyDAO that have been negative. I've met multiple of them in person multiple times. Think they do a phenomenal job at what they do. But the problem is when you don't have like the actual collection like supporting you, you're kind of out in limbo, doing your own thing with some level of structure to it. But in all honesty, the original SMB devs could have just deleted all the pictures from SMBs and fucked off. And what you're left with is a token that's you still have a token ID. It's still recognizable. Matriker will still work. It'll still give you the roles and all that fun stuff that are set up with it. Um, but that's really it. Like you don't have control over your own thing, which is where I mean they have this like they've been having this like power struggle right since like day one. Um, so I'm bullish on them being able to rein it in and ultimately come to a conclusion, which I think will be positive for them. I think it's taxing on time, on resources, on all that stuff for them to go through this whole process. I don't know if I would say that I think it could be avoided. I think it might have been able to be like reduced. I do think that some people, from a creator standpoint, think that they have something more valuable than they actually have. So the history of them trying to purchase and having different prices and the market doing what the market's been doing basically from November of 21 hasn't put anyone in an easy position. But in general, I'm bullish. I'm bullish on them being able to get the IP to be able to own what they really should have owned for a long time. Um, I don't think it's been an easy process for them getting there. But what I would say is, anybody that's interested, of course, in creating, sub DAOs, I mean, even for us, for anything else, like just make sure you get a solid level of buy-in from, what you're helping from a visibility standpoint, from a creation standpoint. I mean, if people are putting in time, money, and effort, especially to the level that SMBs were, for a year plus, of not really getting paid and putting all this effort in to create what you're creating with MonkeyDAO, um, not not having the underlying collection support you at all, I think is not that helpful for the future of what you're creating with that. So that's what I would just think about. I mean, in general, for people that want to do different things in the space. I personally think SMB, or I personally think Monkey DAO, you could have gone the entangled route a while back when that was like a popular thing, although it would have fragmented the collection and done different pieces. Like, I don't know, that would have been a mess, my personal opinion. Um, you could have forked and created a new collection a while back, like their OMC collection that I think they're still planning on doing. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but in general, still bullish on SMBs and Monkey DAO, and I think having the two together is pretty solid for them. So you guys are just going back and forth about raids. Yeah, of course, Muns. Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested in like the way that the NFT ecosystem works, right? Like, it's honestly fascinating to me as to how, you know, different things have value, what people care about, what people don't care about, like how much, value there is in communities, how much value there is in utilities, how much value there is in, you know, really anything that people want to try and create. It's quite fascinating. I mean, sometimes it can be more disappointing than others, but I, it's enjoyable for me.